time.
Oh, right.
I won't complain in mine, but yeah, it was.
Well, we
I
are
weren't on.
going live now, lads. We should be live now. So then I've got to throw out the new link to everyone. If you lads want to talk about the football game from last night, I'm just going to throw out some links.
Right then, welcome to Land of Grub and Glory. We got I'm your host this
So then
evening.
I've got to
Bit
throw out
Mosley.
the
We
new
got
link to
Evan
everyone.
Hood, and got a guest this evening. We've got the Flashheart, Lord Flashheart, he's a bit of a movie expert, so we got him to talk about that a bit later on.
It's nice to be on here.
Welcome, mate. We're going to start off with a subject which you just brought up. We're going to look at briefly about the England game yesterday, and what took place. Well, I've not watched the game. Just been getting the general media's take on it. We looked at it, and it's the English media sort of jumped all over this. Four or five guys were standing in the crowd, making a few remarks, making a few salutes. And obviously England won the game, but I believe they were going to march off at half-time if it continued. To be honest, it's a bit of overreaction, maybe. I don't know, really, but it's obviously it's a case of, was it a setup? Were these people paid to do it? I don't know. I mean, they were looking before the game. So, what's your take, Flash?
Well, like I said, I didn't watch the match either. Honestly, it was. I've lost interest in football over the years, but I've heard about the whole stuff in the papers and everything. They've been talking about it non-stop, haven't they? But like I said, yeah, it is probably exaggerated, heavily overblown, and like you said, it could be debated whether they were, plants or not. It was just set up, as the fact that, didn't you mention that the cameras were zoomed on them or something as they did it? I don't know.
Yeah, the cameras. I don't know if the cameras caught them doing it and then proceeded to focus on them, or they were told. It's hard to tell in this day and age. What's legit and what's not. And
a lot of it is set up, and it's fake news and all that stuff, isn't it? Really.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
That was it. They also had these "No Respect" T-shirts. Do we know what that's all about?
I believe, having seen a couple of pictures of them, I think it's something to do with basically no respect for race, for basically, it's we'll do what we want kind of thing. Because UEFA's motto is respect, I believe. I think no respect is almost like two fingers up to UEFA, and we'll say and do what we want. Because apparently outside the ground there was loads of kind of like swastikas, stickers, and anti kind of like immigration stuff going on. So I don't know again if they were put there for publicity, but it does smell a bit to me, to be honest. Considering what was before the game, they were talking about, oh, we'll walk off. This happens, and it happens.
God's Own says in the chat. He says, "Lads, rally around the Gubu." I love the Gubu. He's my favourite player. But didn't something happen to Raheem Sterling as well recently? Because they do like to. I've heard him mentioned when they're talking about it.
Well, he's the captain.
Right, okay.
I believe, you have in a football team, you have the club captain. So whether he's playing or not, he's the man. He's the. If he's injured or whatever else, whether he plays, he's the club captain. I think Sterling's like the England captain. Whether
made him captain.
Played. Yeah, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, I don't really watch kickball anymore.
I thought it was Henderson or someone like that.
Well, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
I've not followed, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so. I don't watch the kickballs anymore either.
To be honest,
I stopped watching years ago.
My first World Cup was 1990, and my last real interested tournament was probably about 10 years later in 2000. So, I mean, I do have partially followed the England team here and there when they play the odd game. But in the past 2 or 3 years, I don't honestly say I've watched 5 minutes of a game. I've absolutely no interest in the top echelons.
Well, it just gets worse. It just gets worse and worse, and they tell you it's better and better, don't they? That's why I stopped watching football. I
watch local football, to be honest, and it's just normal blokes, non-league football. It's cheap. You have a chat with people. It's not, it's over the top, just corporate rubbish. And every time you ever see it, if I go around my parents' house or I go into a pub and you see it on like BT or Sky, it's just overproduced. Everything is overanalyzed.
Well,
It's not the game that I grew up with.
It's got like the wrestling. I always wonder at the start of the season when they kind of work out who the winner's going to be and script it out.
Well, it's quite interesting you say that because a lot of Eastern European countries about 20 years ago were involved in match fixing, and I always said, the top echelons of like FIFA and UEFA and the Premier League always criticised it, and the old saying, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Well, my favourite part about all that betting scandal was like, yeah, lads, don't worry, it's absolutely only happening in the lower leagues. It's only the lower leagues, nowhere else, at all. It's not happening anywhere else. Honestly, it's only the lower leagues.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, yeah, and it's quite clear that you look at some games and you think, what is really taking place? Because it doesn't need the whole team to be in on. I mean, it doesn't. You need the goalkeeper mainly and a couple of other defenders, and you can easily throw a game by not trying and make an absolute fortune out of it. And I honestly believe it takes place in the top game.
Well, there was a couple of big scandals. Was it like late 90s or something? There was the Charlton one where the floodlights got turned off. Do you remember that one?
Yep. I remember that.
There was also the
remember
the spread betting was
Bruce
quite a big
Grobbelaar,
problem as well, wasn't it? The first throw in and stuff like that.
Emmy, you there?
Oh, can you hear me? Hello, it's me. Hold on a sec, I'll be out and in again. Oh great, no, you're not going to fucking let me connect.
Just like hearing.
Keep talking, lads. If I go quiet.
Yeah, I think that was the Bruce Grobbelaar one. He was done.
What happened with Bruce Grobbelaar again?
Brown envelope,
Sun
weren't
did a
it?
sting where they filmed him taking brown envelope, to throw games. And when you watch Bruce Grobbelaar, Liverpool in the 90s, you can look at it thinking, hang on a minute, some of the goalkeeping, even for him, is erratic.
I see.
Wasn't Terry Venable's desk? Wasn't Terry Venable's desk full of envelopes stuffed full of cash or something? Didn't they? When he left Tottenham, was it when he left? Yeah, I think it was when he left Tottenham, wasn't it? It's an absolutely filthy sport, isn't it? I can't. Have I gone quiet again?
Are you hearing him, Flash?
It's coming off and on for me. I don't know about you, Mosley.
Okay.
Yeah, I get like 3 words and then.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Just tell me you can't hear me and keep talking. Basically, you're still going out to the internet.
I can't. I've got a couple of bits. Are you? I can hear your keyboard.
Can you hear me
my
now?
voice coming through all right? Or
Yeah, you two are coming through loud and clear to me, which you mean
I can hear you now, mate. Yep.
Oh, is that better? Right, I'm back now. Yeah, I just had a bit of a. Yeah, basically, what was I saying? Yeah, Terry Venable's desk apparently was absolutely chock full of envelopes full of cash, wasn't it? When he left Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, him and Sugar when they were at Spurs. I mean, that was the right pair, wasn't it? I mean, God, yeah.
Couple of Cockney Barrow boys.
Cockney Barrow boys misbehaving in the Premier League. Yeah. I mean, who else got done for that? George Graham, and that led to his demise at Arsenal.
Yeah, George Graham. I'm trying to think who else. But that's like that was. I think that was still Premier League stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking the early days, the Premier League.
Yeah.
When the money wasn't so rife, I mean.
And you think it, and do we really think that it's all stopped now? Do we?
Yeah, I mean, look at Sam Allardyce when he was he took 1 game in charge of England, and he got done for a brown envelope, didn't he? I mean.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it's crazy, isn't it? You get the England job, you take a bribe and a bit of a bung somewhere. Yeah, and they deny it takes place. Well, think of the betting that takes place. I want the game to finish 3-0 to Barcelona against Real Madrid or something like that.
Well, you think of the money riding on that as well. I mean, sure. I mean, it'd be so much easier if you knew what the result would be if you was like a big company, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you can manipulate. I mean, the betting companies can manipulate it in their favour, and also the rich Arabs, I can imagine, or the Russians. a few £100 million bet on the odds 5-6 to 1. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. It's just it's what's ruined the game. I don't want to go off on one about football because I'll change subject, but it has ruined the game, which I love because I used to. I mean, when I was younger, I love football. I still enjoy it.
I mean, as well.
Gone are the days of like Terry Butcher, covering everybody in blood, trying to carry on playing.
Yeah, World Cup qualifying. Yeah. He looks like he's just been on the battlefield of the Somme.
Yeah,
but I actually remember that game. That's how old I am.
Now if they get like slightly caught by anybody, they're down and rolling around like they're dying, aren't they?
But do you know what? It's actually infiltrating into the lower leagues. I watched a game on Saturday with my dad. And this goalkeeper, he literally got caught. I mean, a little flick, and he must have rolled about 30 foot. I mean, he kept going and going and going. And the goalkeeper for the opposition turned around to me and goes, "What a dickhead!"
Well, the other thing as well, the kids will see it, and the kids will ape it as well, won't they?
Yeah, that's the worst thing. The kids see Neymar rolling around on the floor when someone touches his boot, and the kids then on the following Sunday morning when they're playing the local football, they start rolling around thinking that's what you do.
That's the way you play football,
isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
it is. Absolutely.
Speaking about influences, should we talk about the week in Extinction Rebellion, shall we?
Oh yeah.
Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the good news, the fact she didn't win a Nobel Prize?
Yeah, start with that one.
Yeah. So. So the Ethiopian Prime Minister won the Nobel Peace Prize. How can she be even up for a peace prize?
I think they give those Nobel Peace Prizes to practically anyone, who just suits their agenda, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what the criteria is. I put out my recycling now and again. I think
they'll give it anyone these days, won't they? Or
What?
nominate anyone. I don't know how it works, but they'll just give it to anybody, won't they?
Yeah. The other thing is like, do you remember Obama got one, didn't he? And it was like, and I think his presidency is the only presidency where it's like constant. It was constant wars for the whole of his presidency, wasn't it? Not a day off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no fan of Trump, but if you compare his record, with bombing campaigns and stuff like that, Obama is just insane. The numbers, I read it not long ago. The numbers, the campaigns, the bombing campaigns in different countries. Yeah, 8 years of basically war, and the guy gets a Nobel Peace Prize.
Like I said, they'll give it to anyone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, Extinction Rebellion are literally the opposite of peace, aren't they?
Yeah. Pretty much. Are they still there? Or they decided to go back to their shacks and wherever else they live?
I can imagine they all live in like Notting Hill and Islington, don't they? I should imagine.
I think there's two kinds. I think there's like the champagne hippie who likes to get out and about and just sees it as an excuse to enforce their liberal crap on everybody. And I think you get the actual hippies.
I saw it. Talking about that, I did see I don't think it was. I'm not sure if it was an Extinction Rebellion protest they went to, or it was a Remainer protest or something. But there was this picture that I came across, and I think it was memed and made fun of and everything like that. But it was these 4 people that sat down on like a blanket or something, and they were having a picnic, and they were at like loads of wine and everything. I think one of them had a sign. I think it said something like, "This is not democracy." Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen this one.
I tweeted it, but like I said, it might have been a month or a couple months back, but it's out there.
What gets me, to be honest, sorry mate, is
I was just going to say, I wonder when they're going to team up with the Brexit lot. I wonder when that's going to be like. There's the not the Brexit, the anti-Brexit moaners, the Ramonas.
I don't know what country it was in, mate, but they were outside a museum or something and they were protesting about like the Aborigines and the minority groups and the original people they said that lived there. So, and someone said, "What the hell has this got to do with climate change?" I thought you were a group commenting on the extinction of the planet, not a political agenda talking about the Aborigines and things like that. So it's quite clear that the real agenda beneath the skin is political. It's
let's put our cards on the table. It's our extinction. The extinction they're talking about is the extinction of the white race, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
If we,
That's pretty much what it boils down.
if we're going to be brutally honest about this.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you get called a nut job. You look at the figures, mate. Yeah, I know, but what you don't take into consideration is all the other factors, like other people's birth rates from other demographics. I mean, I don't know what the figures are in Africa. I think, was it by 2000 something, 2.5 billion people are going to be living in Africa in the next 30, 40 years? Or
I thought they were on track for 4, weren't they?
Was it? I could be wrong. Whatever the numbers are, it's insane. Whatever the numbers are.
Well, at some point they're going to outweigh the Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the Chinese can sustain themselves. The Africans can't. That's the real problem, isn't it?
Is that why the Chinese are buying out parts of Africa or something?
I dread to think what the Chinese are going to do once they actually get their feet under the table in Africa, don't you?
Yeah, it'll make colonialism look like a walk in the park.
I've been saying this for a while. They'll be begging for white colonialism.
Kicked out Whitey, and then the Chinese came in, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much just what's going to happen. Yeah. Yep.
Especially if they think Africans can be ground up for boner pills, that'll be it, won't it? They'll be done then, won't they?
Oh god.
Well, the Chinese like they like their medicine. Don't they?
They do have some erection issues, don't they? The Chinese. Imagine that South Park. Did I have small penis? Do you remember that? The dodgeball one.
And my favourite's the Charles Manson one. I can't.
Is it Merry Christmas, Uncle Charlie? In it, I think.
Not that we're going off on a tangent or anything, or sort of like that.
You can't beat a good tangent.
Yeah.
I think how it goes is the Simpsons did it first, and South Park did it funnier.
Yeah, I mean the Simpsons used to be fun.
Yeah.
Many years ago, and now it's just it's a parody of itself. But yeah, South Park can have its moment.
Oh, speaking of The Simpsons, did you see that story a while ago? Matt Groening's had his own little visit to on the Lolita Express, hasn't he? Did you see that? Did you catch that story?
No, I didn't see that.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Matt Groening was a friend of Epstein, apparently.
Oh no!
Oh.
Is most of Hollywood friends with Epstein?
I should imagine.
That's the thing, though. You watch like a film, and you think, yeah, Kevin Spacey, and you think, yeah, and then you look at another, De Niro's another one, isn't it? It's what's it? Well, it's behind the mask, isn't it? You wonder what's really taken place. Shady would be an understatement.
Should we get back to Greta Thunberg? We've been around the houses.
Somehow gone off onto Epstein.
What was it? So she's 17 now. It says on Friday, the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg has been a favourite for the prestigious award. For what reason, I don't know. Had she won, Thunberg would have been the youngest person ever to win a Nobel Peace Prize. Instead, the Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai remains the youngest ever Nobel laureate, having won the award in 2014 when she was 17 years old. Oh, that Malala's quite funny. She got shot in the head because of Islam, and then but still evangelises Islam, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think I know the woman you're on about, or the girl you're on about.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think there's a criteria. I think they see who can they give the award to with the biggest agenda.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it wasn't. I'm surprised it wasn't Greta, to be honest, because they've really, really pushed.
I don't know what the Ethiopian fella
I
did.
haven't mentioned that. Yeah.
I don't know what she did either. I did briefly see a story that was tweeted about it, and I didn't really take much notice of it. Oh, Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, it says instead of the teenager, however, the Nobel Committee has said it selected Ahmed for his efforts to achieve peace and international cooperation, for his decisive initiative to resolve the border conflict with neighbouring Eritrea. So that's what he did. He just stopped them killing each other for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Congratulations, son.
Yeah, well done.
That war. Well, for about 10 minutes.
Oh, Jesus. Other front runners included New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern for a decisive response to the Christchurch mass shootings in March, and the Brazilian indigenous chief Raoni Metica for his for his efforts to protect the Amazon. Well, he really did a shit job there, because I don't think they deforest as much as they used to, but they were. Was it like Scotland a week or something was supposed to be in the area?
The square acreage, yeah.
Yeah.
What they hack down is appalling. Yeah.
And then obviously
they get through their trees.
Then obviously Jacinda Ardern. I thought we weren't supposed to give terrorists what they wanted, but they seemed to give Brenton Tarrant everything he wanted, didn't they?
Do you know what? Someone mentioned that the other day, and I actually completely forgotten about that story. That's really bad, but I actually forgotten, because there seems to be so much going on in the world, like, because the media's in your face 24/7 with social media. Something comes along, a terrorist attack or whatever else. You see it. It's in the news for 5 minutes, and then it gets shunned for the next big story that comes along. And it's almost like a conveyor belt. It's always been like that, but now it's so much more faster, don't you think? People seem to like just tag on to the next big story, and then they get washed away, and the next story comes on.
It's like it's not even a 24-hour news cycle anymore, is it? It's like a
no
12-hour news cycle, if that.
Yeah, so someone's been shot in such and such. Oh, and by the way, something's happened in Saudi Arabia, or something's happened in, it just gets washed away, and like you think to yourself, like we said a minute earlier on, how a lot of these things set up. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, these news agencies are right on the spot within moments of this happening. You have to really question the honesty of the media and how they portray it, as we all know.
Blimey, can you that Fridays for Future that she started off doing, where the kids strike from school. So it says in March, more than 1 million young people in 123 countries skipped school and took to the streets to support Thunberg's cause. 6 months later, on September the 20th, she was joined by an estimated 4 million people in 161 countries during the largest climate change demonstration in history. So used to have global cooling in the 70s. You had global warming. So we know what that is. So like global cooling, you need to warm the world up, and then global warming, you need to cool it down. So how do you stop climate change?
The thing is, they're not interested in stopping it, are they? These days, it's just all about raising taxes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think though that the planet has its natural cycle? There was an ice age, and I'm not saying man hasn't interfered with it. Compare what happens to, when a volcano goes up somewhere. The damage that does compared to what man does. I think the planet just naturally has a cycle where it gets hotter and it gets colder.
I agree. Yeah.
And they've cottoned on to this, the fact that, like you said, Flash, that they can tax the hell out of the West with it, and produce these expensive cars.
A lot of people just fall for it, don't they? That's what it is. So that they use it as a good excuse to raise them, don't they? So.
I want to see people look after the planet. I want to see animals protected. I want to see I don't want to see animals go extinct. But there comes a time where you're thinking to yourself, look at China, look at Pakistan, look at India. The pollution, like I've said before, they produce.
It's those countries that are mostly responsible for those issues, though, isn't it? Like animals going extinct. Sorry, it's mostly African poachers that are carrying out, killing all these animals and everything. And about the climate change thing, the pollution and all that stuff. Again, that's down to third world countries again, isn't it? Really?
Well, it's not just one of those countries, is it? It's African poachers selling it to Chinese businessmen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. On the black market and all that, isn't it? What have you?
I don't know what figures we produce the world's carbon. I think is it 1% the West produces that or something like that. It's something really minuscule.
Well, I think the UK. I think if we literally turned off everything tomorrow, didn't burn another thing, and went everywhere by bicycle, I think we wouldn't even make a dent in the CO2.
No, that's what I mean. Yet we get taxed for it. Or we've got to buy these expensive cars. We've got to pay more tax for, do this, recycle this, do that, pay more for this. Can't use this. We get pillared for it. Yeah, you get other countries. You just carry on like there isn't anything that they're going to change, and no one says a word. I mean, I mentioned it to that Extinction Rebellion on their Twitter page. Why don't you go and protest in China? I mean, look at the pollution that they produce. And all you get is, yeah, but that's not our issue. I'm not Chinese, I'm English, and I'm dealing with the problem in this country. But I said, there isn't a problem in this country.
Yeah,
they're quite clearly not, but they're also not. They're not interested. It's just an attack on Europe, isn't it, really, in the West? That's all it is. A way of making lots of money and a way of attacking white people.
Well, the thing is, though, the white man's exploited because we seem to be the only race that has a conscience, don't we? So we can be guilted into stuff like this, even if it doesn't make sense.
It does seem like that, yeah. I mean, we do obviously as a West going, the Europeans, we are very kind of like we care about what happens, and other parts of the world. I'll say, it sounds harsh, but other parts of the world, life is cheap in a lot of places. It's easily disposable, and I think that's where the conscious thing comes from. We care about what takes place, but then you get on the other side of the coin, you get the liberals who take it so far, rather than just dealing with the problem, the real problem. They'll create a problem and openly support the people which are gaining financially and everything else.
Well, the libs they kind of come up with like a really really weird mathematic way of working it out, don't they? Because I've seen that if you virtual signal that much.
Hold on, mate. I've just got to sort the dog out. 2 seconds.
No
I apologise. Sorry.
I was just going to say if you they do this weird thing where they go if I virtue signal this much, then this is this good. So if I do it if I go twice as far as that, then that makes me even better. It's almost the way they think, isn't it?
It's like they're trying to score brownie points in it, and then they virtue signal online about it.
And they think if you're twice as stupid about it, it makes you twice as good a person, don't they?
Yeah, like this doubling down way of thinking, innit, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, well, it's like the CO2 thing. It's like, yeah, probably CO2 does have some sort of an impact somewhere. It might be a good idea not to be burning so much stuff and sending all that stuff into the atmosphere. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it doesn't mean that if you cut those emissions down by half, it'll be twice as good, does it? It doesn't necessarily mean that, does it? But that's like the insanity of Extinction Rebellion, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
they are quite a crazy group, aren't they?
Sorry about that. The dog had raided the bin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought the dog had like a treat. I was thinking, oh, the dog's got one of her chewy treats. I turned round and it was eating the packaging. I was like, oh no. Oh, my God.
So have you noticed? Piers Morgan seems to be taking on Greta, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's a.
Sorry, I haven't followed what Piers has said about Greta. What has he been saying?
Well, so it's in this article here. It says he tweeted, "How dare they actually give it to someone who forged peace."
Is he making fun of the whole how everyone's got outraged because Greta didn't win? Then I take it. Is that what he's talking
I think he's
about?
jumping on that one.
There's a trending thing, isn't there, to get him fired? I think.
How about this Norwegian cuck here, Socialist MP Freddie Andre Ostergaard, who among those who nominated Thunberg for the award, he told The Guardian that she has launched a mass movement which I see as a major contribution to peace. Like I say, what peace? Oh, speaking of Extinction Rebellion, did you see the diesel generator covered in pallets? I saw that the other day.
So they were trying to hide it.
Yeah.
So how are you powering?
They were trying to hide their double standard, weren't they? That's what they were doing.
Yeah, and someone walked up to it and filmed it and was like, "Yeah, using a diesel generator, you moron."
They don't use a petrol one; they use a diesel one. That's well.
Yeah, do you know what? I just wish they'd fuck off. Honestly. Sorry.
I mean, talking about the issues that they raise with them. So with their hypocrisy and the problems they create within themselves, after all these events and these protests they go to, they always leave a big mess afterwards, don't they? Like throw their signs on the floor and rubbish everywhere and things like that, don't they?
Yeah, but the evil right, who go around cleaning rubbish up and feeding the homeless are the evil ones.
Yeah, evil generation identity.
Yeah, who feed the homeless.
Yeah.
These people are eating all these expensive, foods and running off power through generators and leaving an absolute pigsty after they leave. And yet they're the good guys. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, are you going to lead into that story about my favourite Formula One driver, Lewis Hamilton?
I think there's another Extinction Rebellion story.
That's
it. Yes. How Extinction Rebellion climate change zealots, including a baronet's Cambridge-educated granddaughter, are paid £400 a week to bring mayhem to our streets. This is the Mail. This is.
Yeah. So you're paid to. Isn't like when you've got a real kind of like a cause that you love and support, you'd do anything. You'd actually pay to do it, not be paid to do it. Yeah, these people are obviously getting funded.
Oh, this is actually quite good, this story. Extinction Rebellion is paying activists up to £400 a week to lead the protests that have brought chaos to the streets of Britain. Documents seen by the Mail on Sunday reveal protesters have received payments totaling more than £70,000 in 4 months alone. But the eco-protest group privately fears it could face a 6-figure tax bill if the money which is given as expenses is deemed to be payment for work done on XR's behalf.
Unbelievable. I asked them that as well. Who's funding you was my simple question. I didn't get much of
I think it's Uncle George, isn't it?
I think, yeah. That's what I was hinting at, but they didn't seem to take the bait.
Yeah. Well, they probably, to be fair, the grunts probably don't know, do they?
I think there's people who just turn up and do this stupid dancing in Trafalgar Square and stuff like that. I think they just go along because they're brainwashed and they believe what they're told. But there are certain people in the upper echelons of the group, I can imagine, who are well informed and exactly where the money's filtered and how it's dispersed.
Yeah, I could well believe
how many of those people, I don't know, and who. Because I generally think there are people who are completely oblivious to what they just generally think this is some kind of like movement that's just got off the ground and no one's behind it. It's it's organic.
I think the MPs are getting fed up of them. Whoever's funding them, they're not paying the MPs to calm down, because it said last night one Tory MP called on HMRC to launch an immediate investigation into the movement's tax affairs. Most of the thousands of activists who brought chaos to London last week were unpaid volunteers, but a select number are claiming the funds which enable them to dedicate their efforts to the protest group, also known as XR.
You're always going to get people who they might have not forgotten on the payroll, but people who are not going to toe the line, and they're obviously a bit fed up. It probably affected their morning commute or something, so they got a bit fed up with it. They had to take a detour.
I think they will do, won't they? It's like they can't even walk around Waitrose without some idiot doing the die and fly, can they?
I know that they seem to be everywhere, don't they? In supermarkets. Where were they? At the airport the other week as well.
At least they're only bothering Londoners, which is quite nice.
Well, I'm sure there'll be this organic movement will spread out across the country. We'll have it in various cities, and then it will hopefully, hope not, get filtered to.
Well, I mean, look at those signs. I mean, they're well produced signs, aren't they? This is no organic movement, is it?
I mean, I don't know if you saw a few years ago when there was that against Tory austerity marches, and they had these signs, and they were literally, like you say, they were absolutely obviously printed somewhere, and it must have cost tens of thousands because of the sheer volume of these signs and how well they were done and produced.
Yeah, and they're not on card either, are they? They're on some hard. You seen those
they're
ones
made of a plastic or something, aren't they? I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Did you see that weird thing with the green and the red with the white faces? Did you see that?
The women or the people dressed up in like some kind of weird like red dress. Yes, that's the one I've just seen. Yeah.
That's just really weird.
But I'll tell you what, Nick Griffin commented on it and said, "I thought political uniforms were banned in this country now," or something like that.
That's not bad for Nick, is it?
No. No, that's not bad. Yeah, I know I saw that. And I actually thought it was something to do with some kind of weird film that they were protesting. And then I looked into the story. Marching around London. I mean, oh yeah, what is that?
The clown. You seen him?
Yeah, I actually thought he was taking a number 2.
He's got.
Which clown are you talking about? Yeah.
The one of you can see it on the stream. He's a clown and he's like dirty, but he's got tin cans around his ankles or something, and he's wearing a builder's hat.
Hang on. How do you get it up again? Hang on.
If you go to the actual
stream, it's on up at the moment. It's up at the moment.
Yeah, Henry's got the picture up. Yeah, I didn't notice it was a builder's hat. Yeah. I bet that copper's thinking, what a tool.
Link for the streams in general, Flash.
Hang on, one sec.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I don't know if you saw that bearded bloke who looked a bit like a crap version of an extra from the Vikings doing his little dance.
Oh, they're all a crap version of something, aren't they?
Yeah. He was doing this dance, and I'm the place is standing there, and I'm like,
has he got a pineapple on top of that builder's helmet, or is that someone standing behind him?
It looks like a pineapple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was doing this dance, I do seem to remember that some copper anonymously put out there that basically he thought they were a bunch of dope heads and a bunch of time wasters, and they were fed up with it. They wanted to get back on, just doing. I
wonder if any of these are the. Do you remember the Newbury bypass? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Swampy. Do you remember Swampy?
Swampy, yeah. Swampy. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah, I wonder if Swampy's still about.
Yeah. Well, he's probably got his degree now. He's probably decided he'd had enough of living in the street.
He's probably a stockbroker now, isn't
he? It gets a bit cold in a tree in the winter, doesn't it?
How long was he up there for a good couple of months or something, that tree, or a couple of weeks, that tree, weren't he?
I think so. Do you know, there was a while, I won't say where it was when I was younger, but there was this protest about this bypass that was getting built. And me and my mates used to go up there and take the piss out of them. There was loads of them, I mean, you're talking about in the middle of December, January, and they're living in these tree houses to try and stop this bypass getting built.
Yeah.
And it was like, seriously, anything else to do? I agree with, hacking through countryside, but it's just like really kind of, what do they call it? Land that's no good to anybody. They're just going to build over it because it's not damaged land, is it? I don't know what the correct term is, but
yeah, it's just
really
kind of
like a low grade. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No good to anybody. And they were going to build across it, but they protested for a long time. I think it went on well over a year, and I don't know how you could sit in a tree for that.
Have you seen it yet, Flash?
You mean the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, the clown. You seen him?
Yeah, I've seen it.
With a pineapple
I tweeted about that. Yeah, and I tweeted about it recently. It looks like something out of the. It looks like. I saw it. It looks like a picture of the clown. Yeah.
It looks like a character from the Day of the Dead. You know, that Mexican.
Yeah. Or the insane clown posse.
That's it. Yeah, the insane. Yeah.
I say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. Extinction Rebellion.
But I wouldn't mind knowing who that Roger Hallam is, because I bet he's fishy as anything, isn't he?
I think there's so much dirt on these people.
I think my voice is coming through a bit late. I don't know if it comes through late for you.
Oh, do you feel a bit delayed? Do you feel a bit delayed? Is that what it is?
I can hear him. I don't know. I can't hear any delay. He seems to be all right with me. What about you, Hemi?
Sounds all right to me. Flash, if you just hang up and then come back in the room, try that.
It's kind of like I'm speaking and then it comes through late, like a few seconds later. I don't know what's happening.
So you're hearing yourself after you speak.
Yeah.
I did hear. Apparently, ICP are doing a gig in Southampton, aren't they? Soon.
All right. Click disconnect. I take it. Yeah.
Yeah, just disconnect and reconnect. Should sort it out.
Insane clown posse.
Yeah.
Living hell.
I can't remember what stream I was talking about them on, but someone DM'd me, said they're in Southampton. Do you fancy coming?
Do you fancy going? That'd be a bit of a night, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Because have you seen what they do at their shows? They spray everybody with pop, don't they?
I know. I know the worst lot for that were Slipknot. I know they did some weird and wonderful things back in the day when they were vomiting on the crowd and stuff like that. I can't imagine. I don't. I've never listened to much of Slip. I can't imagine going to a concert and someone chundering over you as part of the experience, having a good night out. Each to their own.
I'm reading this XR thing, and it's really weird because if they're talking about HMRC taking them down, then they're not part of the establishment as we thought they were, are they?
Unless that's I'm going to sound like a real tinfoil hat.
Yeah, go on then.
Unless that's part of the smoke screen. You know, they say...
Well, and then they actually don't follow through with it.
So can you hear me now?
Possible. Yeah,
yes,
you're coming through fine.
Good. So what was we talking about again? Because as I was talking, it came out afterwards, and it came through the mic afterwards, and then I couldn't hear what you were saying.
We've gone back to XR, and we're talking about why it is that they're going to let HMRC loose on them, or whether it's just all talk. It could just all be talk.
I think it could be a smoke screen. If you want my honest opinion, I could be wrong, but it's a way of deflecting it, saying, "Oh, we're going to go after these people. We're going to attack. But are they really going to pursue them for tax evasion?"
Jesus Christ! It says here crowdfunding for the October Rebellion currently stands at £859,534, and XR's fundraising efforts have brought in more than £2.5 million in the last year. Major donors include rock band Radiohead, who gave £250,000, and city billionaire Sir Christopher Hone, who gave £50,000. John Paul Getty, the oil millionaire. His granddaughter part-funded a donation of $330,000 through the Climate Emergency Fund.
Climate Emergency Fund.
Jesus Christ. With a growing pot of funds, XR has financed new projects, including £5,000 for a group to tour Europe, camping and connecting to nature with each other, and I'm sure leaving piles of fucking rubbish behind them as well. They're all considering spending £3 million on a restructure. What the fuck?
Do you think this will spread though? Do you think these rebellions will spread?
I think they will potentially.
I don't know. I think that they'll get. There's got to be some way of stopping them getting out of hand, because obviously XR is the brand that they want to use, don't they?
Do you think there'll be some splinter groups will start, to shut down a local town, like a small, average English-sized town? They'll suddenly just pop up.
Well, there could be someone that says, you're not going far enough, and then you end up with Animal Liberation Front Mark II, couldn't you? Quite easily with these people, because they're nuts, aren't they?
Yeah, I like I said to you earlier, I think there's two kinds. I think you've got I feel guilty, champagne socialist kind of people who sit in their really expensive London flats or whatever. They turn up.
Speaking
you've got the real hippies.
Speaking of that, there's a bit in this article. It says a document seen by the Mail on Sunday reveals that members have considered an announcement to the working classes. The proposed text says, "Are you working class? We need you. We're incredibly keen to increase the socio-economic diversity of XR. If you are poor or working class and already a member, please get in touch with an email address underneath." Oh, God.
And here's £400 for your trouble.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
You do wonder how far this actually goes, don't you?
This will be fun. In a June proposal to reach out to marginalised London communities, one member wrote, "XR has been following the conventional model of virtue signaling. Yes, we agree working people are oppressed, etc., and tokenism. We need to get more black people into working groups, as if this is just a matter of ordering them out of the catalogue." Well, it's funny. It's very, very white organisation, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I think most of the people there are.
They're always, white liberal virtue signalling types, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was about to say that. Yeah, they're always been the same. I'm sure. I wonder why David Lammy hasn't complained about there's not enough diversity in your Extinction Rebellion. Because I'm sure he moans up pretty much everything else.
blimey. The top comment is actually a pretty good one. One of the commenters said, Marx could not have predicted that the bourgeoisie would become class conscious and rise against the workers.
That's not a bad take, actually.
That's actually a pretty good take, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the next one, have you seen this one, the thing where they cuff each other together? Have you seen this thing?
No, I saw whether some woman glued her tit to the ground. Or something. I saw that.
Well, they do this thing where you can
Didn't she glue herself onto the road or something, I think?
Yeah, that's got to be painful.
Jeez.
Interesting speed bump, I guess.
Not the way, love. I can't.
So what they've started doing now is, if you look on the stream right now, they're actually locking each other together with these weird like cuffs. It's like something out of Seven.
Yeah. I saw someone try to chain themselves to a...
That's not all, because so the group have been photographed supergluing themselves to government department buildings, handcuffing themselves to cars and climbing on roofs and planes. Another method the lefty group has used, and this is the Sun's words, not mine, is putting their arms in tubes and locking themselves in. Police have said the protesters are hiding blades and nails in the tube to make it harder to cut them out. One officer said, "We're part of the protest release team for public order. We're here to get the protesters from wherever they are locked on, whether it's ground level or height. We're working at the moment on 3 and possible 3 others after that. Lock-ons are getting more advanced rather than just having a single layer tube. We're having maybe 3 or 4 layer tube with different materials, so it's a lot more complex. We're having to use a lot more tools to break through each of those layers." So
what is it? What is it with the left and liberals and also using nails and various things to fight or to stop people from achieving?
Well, I think the police should just cut them off, and if something extra comes off, well, it's one of those things, isn't it?
So be it. Right, lads, we've got an ankle grinder. I tell you what, they'd still move them, wouldn't they? Oh dear.
I don't know. I think. Do you think this is like a cult or something? Because these people, there's something really different about this, isn't there?
When they talk, or you see them on a video, there was some guy on an aircraft. I don't know what. I think it was at the London City Airport, and it almost borders on like the David Koresh thing in Waco, doesn't it? You know, following him to the ends of to a new beginning, to a new world, and it's like. It does whiff with a bit, like I say, a very cultish undertone.
It's really really weird, and like they do like the like interpretive dance now and things like that, don't they?
That dancing was really pissing me off. I mean, it just looks like a bunch of idiots just actually freaking out. There was one, I think it was in Trafalgar Square, and it had these like it must have been teenage girls doing it, and it really looked like they were having like an epileptic fit. I was actually concerned for a moment.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
That picture I got up now, I mean, that banner, you can probably work out how long it is, but it's a good, 30-foot banner or something? I don't know how much they cost to get printed up, but they're not, I can't imagine they're cheap, are they?
No, they're not £5.
No, yeah, exactly.
This is an emergency. Yeah, this is an emergency, so we'll shut London down so people can't get to hospital in an emergency.
I just wonder when there's going to be one of them caught with a gun or something.
I did see an interview with them on Sky News, basically saying they would decide who they were going to let through, what ambulance they were going to let through, depending on the medical reason.
Jeez, that's pretty cold, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, so don't worry about it. Oh, you're a white guy. Don't worry about that. We'll block your way. You can have a heart attack.
Did you see those Antifa shouting at that old granny with her little shopping basket? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
That's disgusting, wasn't it?
Yeah, poor old girl just running across the road.
Yeah.
Gets absolutely harassed by these flipping.
Didn't they call her a Nazi or something? Didn't they?
Yeah, you're a Nazi.
Yeah,
running across the road.
I say they always gang up on these, smaller people, don't they? They always try and bully them and whatever. Yeah, they'll not do it though if it's like one-on-one with someone their own size. That's what I've noticed.
Well,
yeah,
I think
if they get enough,
I think they learned
I saw
that
another video actually. I've forgotten if I retweeted it or not, but there's a this other video clip that got shared everywhere where this one guy, he is getting ganged up on by about 5 or 6 Antifa members. He fought back and he was actually able to fight them off. Don't know if you saw that.
Well,
No, I didn't see it,
everyone
but I
remembers
can
old
imagine.
Rufio, don't they? Sparking that lad out. Do you remember that one?
don't know.
The Patriot Front guy, the one where I think the bloke hit him twice on the arm with like one of those telescopic batons, didn't he? And
I remember the guy chinning that
he
woman.
swung back and knocked the bloke on his ass.
I don't know if I saw that one. I probably have.
I've seen loads of
I've
videos
seen
where they
so
actually get
many.
knocked out by...
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, they like fighting when the odds are stacked in their favour, not when it's a fair fight.
they don't like a fair fight, do they? Anyway, from Extinction Rebellion, should we talk about Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
What's going on surrounding him?
Do you want me to read the statement? I'll read the statement and we'll work our way out from there. It's taken me 32 years to understand the impact I'm having on the world, and I'm figuring out daily what I can do to play a better part. I want my life to mean something. Honestly, up until now, my life's had no meaning. Being part of the issue is not meaningful. Being part of the solution is, and I'm striving to do better. I urge you to do some research, find the compassion I know you have within you to recognise what you are in contributing to in terms of what you eat, which keeps the meat and dairy industry flourishing, and therefore deforestation, animal cruelty, our seas and climates decaying on a daily basis. Go vegan. It is the only way to truly save our planet today. It can be done so quickly. All you have to do is put your mind to it.
Now, my thing is, if people want to be vegetarian, vegan, I got no issue if that's what they want to do and that's the way they want to live their life. It's when you get people like him, you just
They
it's obviously
constantly lecture us, don't they? And tell us how to live, tell us what to do all the time.
Well,
yeah. If they want to do that, I've got real. If they they want to go and eat soybeans or whatever else they do, I don't know. That's fine, but
well,
I
in
don't think you can keep picking on people.
In keeping with the ecological argument, I don't think there's that much deforestation going on off in England, is there, for cattle? No. So do you think you might actually be talking about other countries, not England? Not
actually England. I've been lost. What, a multi-millionaire playboy Formula One driver? He's got such a hard existence.
Oh God, heart bleeds for poor lad, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he talks about, deforestation and talks about the planet, yet he still flies about on his own private jet.
Private jet. I mean, how much carbon goes into the air in a race, in a single race?
In a single Formula One race, even though they're a bit, they got like those semi-hybrid engines.
Oh, here you go. He's owned you, Mosley, because he's already sold his private jet.
Ah, Lewis, yeah, you're the man.
He only goes business class now.
Yeah, and has he still got his? How many yachts does he have? Or
well, that's his private jet. No, he probably doesn't count like Mercedes private jet where they take him to the events.
What gets me is if they practice what they preach and they stood there and they stood by their convictions. I wouldn't agree with them, but I'd have a lot more respect for what they did. They seem to stand from their ivory towers, don't they, and shout at the plebs below. And he might have got rid of his jet. So what? I mean, he still drives a Formula One car. If he really cared, he would literally sell all what he had, live in one tiny little house, and get on with it, and then practice what he preached. But he won't.
Oh no! Listen to this. How about this line? We were taught that eating animal products was good for us, but we've been lied to for hundreds of years. Jesus Christ!
Jesus, it's cringe, isn't it?
Totally.
I don't know what to say to these people. If you sat down with them and say, "You can have your opinion, Lewis. Are you honestly telling me that the cause of the world's ills is man eating animals? Is that really your final statement?
Is British people eating British beef? Is that really the problem? Is it, Hamilton? Is it?
Yeah, you feel like saying, "Come on, seriously, if that's the road you're going down, is that what you're gonna lay? You're gonna put your hat down and say, yeah, that's what I'm gonna stand by as my final statement."
I'd have more respect for him if he said that, we need to stop, like importing stuff from place to place. We need to start, cut down on food miles and things like this. But it's not like they don't know anything past what they've been told to say, do they? What they've picked up from Extinction
Another
Rebellion.
issue about it is, what do you call it? It will lecture us for eating British beef or whatever. Working class Britons just eating, normal burgers or whatever. But I guarantee you, he'd never complain about halal slaughter or anything like that, would he?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he hasn't mentioned China. He hasn't mentioned China or India, has he?
No, there's no issue with them. Again, back to that same thing with the Extinction Rebellion thing, how they have no issue with China either.
Do you think there's going to come a period? This is a legit, quite a serious point. Do you think there's going to be a period where they're going to say, and they're really going to push this agenda of anti-meat, because it seems to be ramping up a little bit. They're actually going to try and price people.
I don't
out
think it'd
of
work.
buying meat.
They might try it, but I don't think they'd ever get away with something as extreme as that.
I hope not, but they seem to be ramping up this meat is evil agenda. And
Well,
you
they could phase it out. They could get Zoomers to stop eating it. If you can get the Zoomers to stop eating it, then they've only got to wait for us to die off, haven't they? Then
I saw an advert that came on the telly. I think it was one of the big chains, Tesco's, Asda, I can't remember. And his dad's cooking these sausages, but it turns out these sausages are meat-free sausages, so they're not really sausages. Yeah. And I actually turned around to the missus and I said, "This anti-meat agenda is ramping up, and I've noticed it's not been subtle, but they keep like filtering it every now and again into an advert. You can have sausages. They look like real sausages, meat-free sausages. So, you don't have to eat. And it seems to be every now and again I seem to be noticing this pattern, even though I don't really watch that much television.
So what do you think the reason is? Because I'm wondering whether it's just purely because apparently China is starting to get into their steak and stuff, aren't they? Which means because the Chinese have never really been big beef eaters, which means if they start getting into eating beef, they're just going to hoover it all up, and they seem to be the only people that have money now, don't they? As well.
It seems to me, like you say,
I wondered whether that was what it was.
It could be the fact they're going to consume so much beef. They don't want, again, the West to consume beef. Like Europeans, Australians, Americans to consume beef. So they're going to call us all the names under the sun. If you cared about the environment, you'd stop eating meat. Yet the rest of the world can carry on eating pork and beef and whatever.
Well, it's the same with pollution. We've got to stop polluting, but everyone else can carry on polluting, can't they?
Yeah, and I think it's the same narrative, but it seems to be definitely filtering through this kind of like anti-meat agenda. Like, you've got to stop eating meat.
Well, the kids are
more obsessed. Stop me at least.
no, I'm still going to enjoy my burgers.
Well, the kids are just so susceptible to all this because all they're taught now is how to be good consumers, aren't they?
That's the worrying thing when you look at a younger generation of people. They seem to worse than even like our generation and generations before. They seem to be, not all of them obviously, because I'm not going to label a whole entire generation here, but they seem to be, the consuming thing is definitely in overdrive. They'll buy all the latest gadgets, all the latest things that are thrown at them. And again, like you say, when they see people saying don't eat meat, oh yeah, I shouldn't eat meat because it's bad for the planet. If I carry on eating meat, all my peers around me are going to go, what, don't you care about this planet? Do you want to do something?
Well, there's that. You've heard that story, haven't you? That kids now are getting stressed, aren't they? There are kids on the verge of suicide because they're listening to all this bullshit, aren't they?
Yeah, the planet's going to end, so I'm going to top myself. I mean,
it's all this hysteria, and they use it to push their agenda again, don't they?
Well, do you think that comes from social media and access?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
Did you think that comes from like social media and the kids can access the news so quick?
Yeah, they can. To an extent, that does play into it. Yeah, most people have access to a phone, so they have access to the internet, don't they? So
they can manipulate people a lot easier.
Yeah, they'll manipulate. I can't get my words out.
Manipulate.
I was saying they manipulate their algorithms and everything for it to come up on their timelines and stuff, won't they? So
yeah.
Because
Like-
it seems weird to me that the kids have grown up in this culture, but they're not savvy to it. That's the bit that I find really hard to make sense to me.
Yeah, it's like an older generation which is more savvy to what's really
Yeah.
going on. Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. You'd think they'd be a lot more in tune with the manipulation side of it. You know,
Well,
like you say, the
like-
algorithm.
Like I say, they've grown up in it. Why don't they understand it? That's what I don't get.
Do you think some people understand it and don't want to be seen? Because I always feel that a lot of humans tend to be like a sheep mentality. They don't want to be stand. They want to follow the crowd. They don't want to stand out. So if your friends are all not eating meat, or your friends are all going to this extinction rally rebellion thing, or promoting this, you're going to just go along with it, even if you do know, and you're one of the clever ones who knows really all the bullshit that goes with
Kind
it.
of like peer pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Because I swear that there are this generation is not entirely fit. The new generation. There are people that you see it on Twitter, younger guys and stuff like late teens and stuff like that, who talk about things, and you think, well, this guy's clued up. He's 19. He's clued up. There are people out in that generation who obviously know what the score is, but I worry for like the slightly younger generation than that. The kids are coming up through school because the indoctrination has just been ramped up like
they've
something.
been really pushing it in schools, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, and that there is no escape. The kid goes to school and he's just bombarded with everything that comes at him, you know. And even a strong-minded person is going to be susceptible.
Well, it's like there's that thought experiment, isn't there, where the teacher holds up a book, but you got one lad in there that's a stooge, and the book's like green or whatever, but the stooge will say, will insist that the book is red, and then eventually everybody comes round to saying that the book is red, even though it's green.
Is at the end of 1984. How many fingers am I?
Probably a similar sort of thing, but I think there's an actual experiment that backs it up as well.
People actually say this book's green when it's red, or vice versa.
They will if somebody insists hard enough in the group.
And people will just follow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is strange.
Yeah,
Very
very.
scary. That's very scary, actually.
Yeah.
That's quite a scary scenario if you really think about it. I know it's only a book colour, but then if that's the case, then there you go with regard to everything else. Everything else follows.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? So, did you want to... Actually, we got a fun story now, haven't we? It's when you told me before the show. Chick-fil-A are coming to Reading, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard about that. Stirred up outrage. I shared an article on it. Hang on, I forgot what it was. I think it was from Daily Mail or something. Apparently, the LGBT community is outraged over it.
Yeah, they're not happy. They're not. But I actually had a look. I thought, like, you know, the way they were carrying on, this couple was supported like some real kind of like radical Christian groups or something. And it was like, was it Samaritans? or something?
They're just against gay marriage. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah. And because they had funded, it wasn't a particularly a large amount of money, was it? I don't know if it, you know, it was a few $1,000s in one of the companies they gave money to. It wasn't particularly a lot of money. And they seem to have just, they've thrown a real hissy fit about it. I must admit, reading the comments, this link I found on Twitter was...
Well, it's what we keep saying. It's not enough to just not say anything anymore, is it? And even
No.
like we say, like the slightest bit of counter signalling, and they lose their mind, don't they? You must be destroyed for it.
If you sort of disagree with any of their points, like you say,
Yeah,
even slightly, like you say, deviate from the plan,
yeah.
then they seem, they'll go after you, yeah. Well, belt and braces, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Kind of part of the whole cancel culture, isn't it? Really.
What is cancel culture? Because I can't be bothered to look up what it is.
Kind of. How can I word it? It's like when the SJWs, for example, go on a campaign to try and get someone deplatformed or someone fired from their job, all that kind of stuff.
So the thing we used to call it like a Twitter hate mob, didn't we, or something like that?
Yeah.
I think we need to follow the story because when is it opened now or is it going to open?
Let's have a look.
Because I think if it starts to open, there's going to be some demonstrations out
Chick-fil-A opened up in the Oracle this week. In the unit, opened up this week. Chick-fil-A opened up in the Oracle, which must be a shopping centre or something. Where the oh no! Do you know what they've taken over from? A vegan fast food outlet Miami Burger used to be.
Oh my lord! You can't write that. That's made my day. Oh, I bet that really, really got to them. That.
Oh, jeez, they've flexed
the
on
thing is,
they've flexed on the vegans already.
Like this vegan fast food restaurant, it closed down. But the thing is, if they were so determined in keeping it open, why didn't they go there and try and keep it in business or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
It comes into that whole thing again. SJWs don't buy anything; they just complain all the time.
Yeah, that's right. They like to bitch and moan and go on a campaign to get you platform.
It's like all talk and no action, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, they like to harass people on the internet. It
says here,
when it comes to it.
It says here the company's chief operating officer, Dan D. Cathy, made comments opposing same-sex marriage in the US. It also emerged that the restaurant's charity foundation had donated millions of dollars to religious right Christian groups that opposed LGBT rights. Yeah, they have donated millions of dollars to religious right Christian groups, but that doesn't mean that all they do is like oppose LGBT rights. That's the only thing that religious right groups do.
There was one guy some fund they funded was like $7,000, and that was a big issue.
Yeah.
It was just making out. I think it was $1.8 million last year or something. Was one of the big figures I saw, something along those lines. And it was like, in real terms, in global business, that's a drop in the ocean. It's supposed to be really up.
Well, it's not like they were like donating to like the Westboro Baptist Church or anything like that, was it?
I'll tell you that, man. Westboro Baptist Church, sponsored by. Yeah.
That's all from that story. There's not much content in there, but
I think we need to monitor it though. I think there could be some people going along to cause some.
I think we need to get a minibus down there. I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I think we should go down there and sit in the window looking rather smug with our chicken and
just waving at the gay protesters.
Do you know that? Just really briefly, I remember there was I think it was a restaurant in Canada. I think it was, and this guy sold beef. And what he did was these protesters were basically protesting against him. So what he did was he actually got the beef joint, put it in the window right outside where they were protesting, and started to like hack it up and like do it for them. And they went absolutely mad. Yeah, and because they were harassing him all the time, so he just lost it and just basically, if you're going to harass me, I'm going to come back at you.
Do you remember that? What was the other one? Do you remember that person that lived near a mosque? This was like 90s. This was. It was they just lived down the road from the mosque, and they had like a pig collection in the window, like porcelain pigs and stuff like that. And the police actually made him come and take the porcelain pigs out of the window.
I don't remember that.
That's a really old story. It's probably like mid-90s, early 2000s, or something like that kind of period.
What it is when they protest outside someone's restaurant, I can understand, if you're going to get, perhaps send someone, a phone call, an email, or do something. But when it's a small business as well, and they target small businesses, I think that's when you start to. I know this Chick-fil-A, whatever it is not small business, but when they target small restaurants and stuff, I think it's bang out of line.
I found
a story with that. What was it? That Christian bakery, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's an example. Yeah, exactly. Small business. You could go anywhere to have your cake made. You decide you're going to cause a scene and target a small business.
That's what I was saying. It's not enough that that you don't do anything. You have to actively signal for them, doesn't it?
Yeah. And when it's a small business, it could ruin someone's life. Literally ruin their life because the business goes out of. They go out of business. They lose their house. Everything falls apart just because someone doesn't like the fact you sell. You don't want to sell a cake to a gay couple, or you want to sell meat in an area which these vegans decide, I don't want you selling meat. I mean, who gives them the right to say, to try and ruin someone's life?
Well, exactly. This is what the police should be doing, shouldn't they? They should be.
The police just let them get away with it. Don't they?
Yeah. absolutely. Oh, speaking of vegans, it looks like it's going to be a vegan-heavy show tonight. I've just found a brilliant story. It's let me just get it up.
You there?
Hello, can you hear me?
You're cutting out, Hemi. I don't know if you can hear
Hold
me.
on a sec. I'm full signal. Can you hear me
Did
now?
you get that flash?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you hear
I should be back
Hemi
now.
was sort of cutting in and out. Did you catch
Yeah,
that?
I'm getting that cut out as well. Is my voice coming through all right? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
coming
right,
through
mate.
fine.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
good.
Can you hear me good now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is vegan reports friends who fed her chicken nuggets when she was drunk to the police. Let's read it. Let's read about this whinger then. Oh, she found a video of her friends feeding her meat and mocking her online. Vegan who was pranked by her friends after a drunken night out was reported them to the police. The 24-year-old said she's been vegan for 10 years and not eaten meat since she found out where it came from when she was 3 or 4 years old. 10 years, 3 or 4 years old. Okay then, that's 14 years.
Crazy. I saw someone in Greg's who'd eaten. Was it something? Was it a pasty that was a vegan? Supposed to be a vegan. It had pork in it.
Here's the understatement of the year. Writing on Reddit, she says her veganism is no secret and the people in her life know and respect it, or so she thought. Yeah, fucking everybody knows when you're a vegan, don't they?
Yeah, they walk around with t-shirts on.
Yeah. There's that joke in there. How do you know if someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Barry. Yeah, and I'm a vegan. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I didn't want to know what your food preferences were. You get that.
It's all their personality comes down to, isn't it? That's why they have them t-shirts telling everyone they're a vegan. Because they're just not interested in people. So the only way they can maintain people being interested in them is by telling them that they're a vegan or whatever other nonsense, isn't it, really?
Yep. That's pretty much it. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. She continues, I took a screen recording of the video and took it to the police on the grounds of food tampering, and now 3 of my ex-friends are facing charges.
Hey, so they're actually been charged for it then?
They're actually being charged for it.
Bloody hell.
So but judging by the fact you said she's 14, she's actually...
24,
charging...
she's 24.
Oh, 24, sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the picture. 24, you were cutting it. Okay, yeah. Well, that's just insane. So, food tampering, and you're going to get someone prosecuted.
I'm just having a quick look, see if I can find out what
No wonder they're ex-friends.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Don't they love moaning, don't they?
I wonder why I haven't got any friends.
Yeah.
Can't for the life of me understand that.
Absolute horseshit if they actually go to prison or anything over this.
I'd make her prove that she's I'd make her prove that she's vegan, because how do you prove that you're vegan?
I'm reading some of the article.
Yeah.
Have these people had their sense of humour just removed, and then they just they were living this life?
Well, they probably never had one. That's why they're vegan.
Well, it's like she's. I've put it in potential stories if you want to look at it mostly. It's like they've taken a vow of veganism. It's like a religious thing, isn't it?
It's like I said before. If they want to be a vegan, that's their prerogative. But it seems like you say they don't. It has to be enforced on everybody around them, no matter if it's their family, friends, colleagues, or whatever else. It doesn't seem to stop with I'm going to not going to eat any kind of meat-based products or anything like dairy products. They just have to enforce it on everyone around them. It's like a shockwave, isn't it? Like from an earth. Oh, someone's banging around.
You're right, Flash, you fell over.
Oh no, it's this chair. This chair just makes noises every time I move slightly, and it makes a noise.
It sounds like you're coming. It sounds like you're coming through the ceiling.
No, I was just a bit uncomfortable, so I moved a bit. It's this old chair. I need to get it replaced, to be honest.
as if that wasn't depressing enough. It says she asked people to wade in on who is right on a forum called "Am I the Arsehole?" The majority of top comments say she was in the right to take action against her friends. One said, "I'm impressed and I kind of think this is awesome. I think that it's awesome that you went to the police and they're taking it seriously." Another
So the
added,
police-
you're all forgetting that they uploaded a Snapchat video making fun of her too. It wasn't just food tampering. Oh, so it's the humiliation is why she should go to court. Why she pressed charges.
So the
then,
police
all
have
the
got all this crime, burglaries, rapes, muggings, stabbings. But no, someone's been offended because someone fed someone some
Yeah.
chicken nuggets. God.
No wonder
you
why
imagine-
people are, there's less and less respect for the police these days when they're just wasting time on stories like this.
Could
Yeah,
you imagine,
it's-
going back 50 years and telling somebody this will be a story 50 years from now? I think they'd section you. I think they'd actually get you the white jacket and stick you in a padded cell. I really don't think they would even entertain it.
Well, that's the thing. She'd have been in a padded cell away from
she would
people
have
she
been in
could
a padded cell,
upset.
absolutely. Imagine.
If I didn't know any better, the way she's reacted to just eating chicken nuggets, she probably needs to be sectioned, to be honest.
Well, this is what I mean. It's like a religious zealotry, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said about the Extinction Rebellion, it's like a cult but in a slightly different way. This time to do with food rather than the planet. I do worry about the future if this is a criminal offence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was right. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about?
Is there anything else I want to talk about there? Flash, have you? You're the movie mogul. Your
Oh
movies.
yeah. Nearly forgot about that, didn't I? There was an interesting film I watched earlier. It was I spoke to you about it for before the stream, didn't I, Mosley? The film, what was it, Falling Down? I watched that
Michael
earlier,
Douglas.
Yeah,
and I was saying it.
pretty good
Yeah,
film
what, sorry?
that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I thought I'd check it out after Critical Drink did a video on it. I just thought I'd just check it out, see what the film's actually like, and actually turns out to be a great film.
It's basically about a guy, isn't it, who snaps at the modern world, doesn't he? He snaps at all the things that are wrong with the modern world.
Everything's going wrong for him. He's meant to have been laid off. I think he's meant to have been recently divorced as well, and he's got his wife got a restraining order on him, and he's not even allowed to visit his daughter on her birthday. And he eventually just snaps really and goes on a rampage.
Yeah, like we said earlier on, it's the scene where he's in the fast food joint.
Yeah.
And he basically says, "This isn't what's described on the picture you're advertising." And that's, to be honest, in most restaurants, whether it's fast food or not, that's pretty much the case. You never get
Yeah.
Not as pictured.
sad state. False advertising, but yeah, it's a good film. I think, like you said as well, I don't think you'd get it made now because it's like this guy. He's gone through. He has to pay child support, doesn't he? He doesn't,
Oh,
get
he'd
shafted.
be they would do it, but he'd be like the absolute worst kind of like
They'd spin it
wife
or
beater
something
out,
to
wouldn't
push
they?
some kind of
Yeah.
left-wing message. That's what they do.
Yeah. Because basically, he's a man who's tried to do the right thing, isn't he? And it's just got too much for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, and the more he does the right thing, the worse it makes it.
And talking about it's a lot like the Joker that came out. I don't know if you've seen that film yet.
I have
I've seen the Joker. You haven't, have you, Mosley?
no.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was pretty good, but it's got that same controversy surrounding it, hasn't it? And you've seen how the mainstream media has reacted to it. And
Yeah,
now
they're
they've
not keen on it, are they?
stirred up outrage because it's not necessarily a right-wing film, but it's just not one of those ones that's pushing extreme left-wing messages, if you get what I mean.
I think the director came out and said, didn't he turn around and said you can't make comedies anymore?
Yeah,
current climate.
I spoke about it in one of my videos I did I think it was about a week ago. I spoke about it. I looked into that article, how they, he speaks about how, you can't do a proper comedy these days because you're so limited on what sort of jokes you can and can't make.
Could you imagine writing like a comedy now? You'd write, what you think is funny, and then you'd actually step back and go, well, I can't say that because that's going to offend them. And if I say that, that might offend them. And in the end,
it was proven by that. What was the name of that black comedian that made a bunch of politically incorrect jokes and then all the left-wing film critics just like slammed him for it. I forgot what his name was. Was it
Dave Chappelle? Was it?
Oh yeah, that was it.
I think someone else has as well, haven't they? Reece? Someone else stepped. Is it Kevin Hart or someone like that as well, has stepped over the line, haven't they?
I haven't heard anything about Kevin Hart, but the Dave Chappelle thing, really stuck with people because pretty much all the mainstream critics hated it, but users, actual fans, really liked it. Got a very positive user review on Rotten Tomatoes, I think.
I think if the critics like it, generally, it's crap, and if the people like it, it's generally quite good.
It's like Oscar films. You always give them a swerve, don't you? Because they're not going to be any good.
The Oscar films used to be pretty
2018 film. Yeah, you mentioned that. What was it? That Shape of Water film, where it's basically about that woman who.
Did you see that? Did you see that meme poster someone did for it? They called it "Sexy Free Willy."
No, I didn't see it, but I'm gonna have to have a look.
I haven't seen the film, but does that sum it up, Flashheart?
I haven't seen the film, but I saw the film at the cinema just to check it out. It's pretty much one of those typical films, if you get what I mean, that the critics are just going to love, but the film fans and what have you, non-critics are just going to be divided on it, if you get what I mean.
Whenever I go to the cinema, you get like the trailers before the film, don't you? And if I'm sitting there, I start making comments and I get told to shut up by the missus because it gets louder and louder. I'm like, oh god, not this crap. And, do you know what I mean? I'm getting like dodgy looks from like other audience. Like for example, that film you just mentioned. I remember seeing the trailer for that, thinking, oh, this shit. Honestly, I'm not watching that. Yeah.
Best picture. Either way.
Speaking of film news, have you seen who the new Selena Kyle is in the new Batman film?
I heard about it. It's this black woman, isn't it?
It's Lenny.
I've forgotten her name.
Yeah, Lenny Kravitz's daughter, I think, isn't it?
Is it the Batwoman?
No, she's Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
That's another character getting blackwashed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Catwoman. Oh, I lose track of it.
The new Batman film with that's going to have what's his name, Robert Pattinson in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's that film, I think.
How many Batman films have there been? I mean, it seems to me they seem to like reboot these films every 4 or 5 years. Like Spider-Man was rebooted twice now, 3 times.
Well, they're like a Bond thing, aren't they? I think they just like look at them like a Bond thing, don't they? Where you just change the actor.
Thing is, with Warner Brothers and DC, I mean, when's the last time they've actually made a decent superhero film? Besides the Joker that they've recently done, most of this DC stuff that they have, many people say, has not been that good. That's the way I look.
I actually watched the old Batman film the other day with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Oh, that's a good one. I enjoy that one.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I was, when you watch a film, I couldn't actually remember a lot of it. I've seen it like a long time ago. I must have seen it, in the 90s itself. But yeah, it was good. I bought the DVD quite a while back, and I thought, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to have a. It's good.
There's some great lines in it. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Oh, Jack Nicholson is
a
the
great Joker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best. The film is good, but he steals everything. Every scene he's in, he takes over.
Michael Keaton gives him a good run for his money, though, doesn't he? That bit with the tray where he goes, "Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." Do you remember that bit? That's a really good scene. That's a really good scene.
I think Michael Keaton plays Batman as quite understated, doesn't he? He doesn't seem to. It would have been stupid for him to play like Batman as over the top when you have a character like Jack Nicholson's playing.
Yeah.
Over the top. I think the whole thing wouldn't have worked.
It'd have turned into a competition, and I think it would have been a worse film for it, wouldn't it?
Kind of like work well off each other, don't they, in that film?
Yeah.
I think you've got to be a foil, haven't you, for your co-actor? And I think he's pretty good. Yeah, I can't remember the sequel, Batman Returns, very well with Danny DeVito.
That's Danny DeVito. That's the one with what's his name? Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, Batman Returns. Yeah, he's the Penguin, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I cannot remember that.
Then you got about Batman Forever with Jim Carrey and
oh god, that one.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No, the worst one is the one after that.
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, with George Clooney with the bat nipples, isn't it?
No. The next one that's the one after, isn't it?
It's the one with Arnie, isn't it?
Batman Forever. Oh yeah, Robin is in that, isn't it? Yeah, so it is the Arnie's brilliant in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, it is quite ironic though. After I looked up Falling Down, it's actually the same director that did Batman and Robin. Believe it or not.
Oh, was it?
Really?
Is it Schumacher? Is it?
Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. Well, it was Schumacher that like destroyed Batman. That's why you had like a big hiatus for Batman until Batman Begins came.
Batman Begins, yeah.
Yeah, but show me the trigger.
I actually think Christian Bale is a good Batman, but people like the comparison with Keaton's it's a bit unfair because people remember Bale more as being the modern.
The main problem I had with Christian Bale's adaptation of the Batman was probably his voice, because he like put it on quite a bit, didn't it? And
yeah, I think what it was I think he did it for the first one and he didn't realise how it would pan out. I think that's the thing. You have to kind of, you don't realise how these things are going to go, do you? So
no.
You probably thought the film would flop and you'd never be seen again, and well, fortunately, it sort of like took off, and the next one was obviously a massive hit.
Then you got The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah, the anarchist kind of Joker, isn't he? He's kind of.
Yeah, he's the kind of Extinction Rebellion Joker.
He turned up. He turned up with his vegan patty or something.
Yeah. Do you want to know how I got this veganism?
Yeah. Oh my lord. Yeah.
And then
he would be, wouldn't he?
Then there's The Dark Knight Rises, which is just, I think it's an awful film.
I didn't enjoy that at all. I was really, after the first two films, I was really looking forward to seeing that one. I thought, Hollywood film, first two were really good, and I was just disappointed on every level.
I don't know. I thought the film was okay. It was average. Obviously not as good as the first two, but I think the best part of it was Bane by Tom Hardy himself. But I didn't like the way they killed him off. Really.
Did you know that voice? You know that voice he had in it. It was the second choice voice, don't you? They did the whole film and then he had to redub it all with another voice. So I just wonder how bad the original voice
know
was.
About that.
Yeah. I wonder how bad the original voice was. That must have been really dog shit, mustn't it?
It's because he had that massive mask on. He couldn't get his words out right, I bet, or something.
It's just
I don't know. They maybe it came out wrong, and they had to just redo it. I don't know exactly.
People like what's his name, Tom Hardy, but he's done some strange stuff which made me think
he just does silly voices now, doesn't he? He does
the same voice.
For me, he used to be a decent actor, but now he just does silly voices in everything I've seen him in.
I don't know if you've seen there was a drama series he did set in Victorian England, and it's basically the same voice he does in that, I believe, as in when he does in Peaky Blinders.
Right.
It's just over the top, like Cockney.
Was it? Oh, he did Oliver. He did Oliver Twist, didn't he? He was Bill Sykes. Is that the one, or is it another one you're talking about?
He did. It's really dark. It's about slavery. It's actually filmed dark, not just metaphoric dark.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah, he produced it and wanted to get it made for years, and he plays over the top Cockney. So they must say to him. Oh,
okay, I've got the film, so.
No, I don't dislike him. I just think sometimes he overacts when he's in. I mean, I've watched bits of Peaky Blinders that he's been in.
I haven't seen Peaky Blinders. I've only seen like 2 episodes of it, and that was after that video that I did.
Oh yeah.
On Peaky Blinders, it was about Oswald Mosley.
Yeah.
I saw 2 episodes of it, and I've just not gone back to it since.
I watched the first proper series, and then we started to watch the second one. And he's in the second. I think he comes into it in the second series, and he's good. But again, it reminded me straight away the moment he opened his mouth was this other drama series he'd done. It's just like playing the same kind of character with the same kind of voice. not that I'm an actor or anything, but as someone who's observing something from the outside.
Yeah, a silly voice or something like that
It's all
will
subjective,
drag you
isn't
out. It will drag you out. It will stop you getting immersed in the drama, won't it? That's the problem.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything else you lads want to talk about?
Not really much from me, no.
Do you want to see? Oh, there's these horrific photos show how a toddler nearly died from a stranger's kiss. Charlotte Jones is warning other parents to be vigilant after a little boy Alice contracted life-threatening herpes.
What?
If you got herpes, why the fuck would you kiss a fucking kid? Just said he was kissed with someone with a cold sore, apparently.
Did you do a story, Flash, about some kid who got charged on the sex offenders register for kissing?
Oh yeah, we could talk about that for a bit. Yeah,
It's just
I
absolutely.
made a video on it, and yeah,
Yeah. What was it? Was it in this country? Was it? I didn't see a video.
I think it was. I can't remember the year. I think it was somewhere in America. I can't remember the state.
So he kisses. Well, he was a young child as well, wasn't it? Like 5, 6.
It was about 5 years old, and all he did was hug one of his classmates, and then
Oh, is this the 5-second one? Because he did it for more than 5 seconds. Because we were talking about that the other night.
I'm not sure if it was
Down
more
the
than
pub.
5 seconds. The article didn't say, but hang on.
Is he the autistic fella that read a book how to?
Oh, it's not that one. It's
Is this another one?
this is a different one. Hang on.
The world is absolutely mad.
Did you hear that one?
Do you want me to link you the article? Then you can open it yourself.
Yeah, cool. Just chuck it in potential or general. It's up to you.
Give me a minute then.
Yeah, the one I was going to talk about is some autistic fella, wasn't it? He read a book on how to make friends or something like that, and he touched this woman on the arm, and because it was more than 5 seconds, she did him for sexual assault.
Just give me 2 minutes. Here we are. Hang on.
I don't know where to begin with that story.
It's like the poor bloke. He's like auty, and he's trying to like learn stuff, and then that's
He's
how he
probably
gets.
done. He's just done the right thing.
I think I've noticed a lot of stories like that. I think because it was one of these crazy feminist types, and you know what they're like. They seem to target a lot of people on the autism spectrum and people that have social have trouble socially interacting with people and what have you. I've noticed that these feminists seem to go for these kinds of people a lot, or at least that's what I've noticed. Hang on, 1 sec.
I can't really fathom. The guy's obviously, like you say, he's a bit socially insecure and stuff, and yet he doesn't really do anything wrong. I mean, if someone comes up to me and you're having a chat, put their hand on your arm, I'm not going to turn around and say, "Excuse me, mate, you sexually assaulted me," or anything like that. I do worry.
I've just linked you the article now,
Poor
Emmy.
bloke. Let's have
I've sent it you on
look.
Twitter.
On Twitter, let's have a look. Hold on, give me a sec. But yeah, that poor autistic lad. Let's have a look.
Crazy, that. Yeah, I think one with the kid was he hugged some classmate. He's now on a sex offenders register.
There you go. It's in.
Autistic, yeah, he's autistic as well.
Another autistic. Is
Yeah,
there a bit of a
autistic
war
boys
against
and
fucking autistic kids, though? Is there something?
Yeah, 5 years old. Don't kids do that, don't they? When they're at school, they just,
Yeah.
Do you
he's
believe?
just being a child at school.
Do you believe, as a lot of people do, that this is kind of, if a child can consent to change in sex, or they could be registered as a sex offender, that means that then it's some sort of a way of.
I can't hear you, mate.
Sorry.
I think you're cutting out again, mate.
Oh, I should be all right now. Am I all right now?
It's all gone quiet.
Oh. That better?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think this is like part of the push towards making P that last letter of the LGBT, the pedosexual? If kids can consent to stuff like this, then they can consent to whatever filth people want to do to them.
It's grim, isn't it? It's one of those subjects. It just makes you feel sick, doesn't it? When
Yeah, it is.
it's not nice. It's horrible. It really is. I think you're right, Hermie. To be honest, but it's not nice, is it?
It's just absolutely vile, isn't it? So it's
I don't know
like,
if you.
how can anybody seriously put him down as a sex offender?
When you were at school, when you were young at school, everyone used to, boys and girls, didn't they hold hands, didn't they? And you play bloody kiss chase and all that.
Well, this is the thing, right up until kind of like, I'd say like the university years, you're kind of learning about other people's boundaries, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, how is that going to affect that 5-year-old now? Socially and and mentally. Now he's been branded as sex. Obviously, he won't understand what that means at 5, but now he's going to go through his life as a sex offender. I mean, probably when he has to disclose that when he goes into like a job interview, do you know what I mean? Then
Well,
they're not going to
that's
look at
it.
it.
I mentioned that in the video I did when I was analysing this article. That they've probably ruined this kid's life.
Yeah, but absolutely nothing. What most children probably get up to at school and just having just being children, just generally having a bit of fun.
Well, like I said, I mean, that sort of age, they're kind of learning what boundaries are. I mean, that's what they, like it used to be. It used to be they'd get a slap off the other kid if they went too far, kind of thing, wouldn't it? That's what it used to be.
Yeah, if
they'd
you
kind
did
of work
something,
it
you'd get
out, wouldn't they?
Playground scuffle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And does it actually say like who actually reported it? So did a teacher spot it, or was it a parent who took it?
I should think the tattletale's going to be well protected, aren't they?
Imagine it was the teacher.
Yeah.
Probably was. That was my initial assumption, that it was probably the teacher found a way to get offended over it and just took something that was essentially wasn't really a problem and then just overblown it and then just made a big deal out of it. Really.
Well, it's like
sometimes I look at
kids of the same age now can be branded racist for the rest of their life as well, can't they?
Yeah, because they've made an off-the-cuff comment that they've probably heard someone say in passing. Yeah. I'm actually quite, being the age I am, I'm actually quite glad that I'm just not in any kind of shape, manner, or form near this kind of like society. You know what I mean? In education or anything like that, because I can't imagine what it's like having to go to college or university now, having to tread on eggshells, because I would get myself in trouble.
Oh, have you seen this bit where it says his school said it has had to speak with him about boundaries before?
Boundaries?
Oh, Jesus Christ, they're fucking kids.
So again, he's probably been punished for this more than once by the teachers and what have you, or the headmaster or whatever it is over there.
Like you say, it's probably the same teacher, isn't it?
It probably is, yeah.
I'd wager a bet on that.
What's wrong with What's wrong with these teachers now?
What's wrong with you? What's wrong?
Crazy feminists, aren't they? That's what it is.
I think they've got into the education system over a long period of time, haven't they? Whether it's young schools, or senior schools, or college, universities, and it's not just a problem. Obviously, this isn't America, but it's obviously a problem that affects a lot of like white Western countries.
But it's twisting normal human interactions, though, isn't it? It's like
it is.
Like kids at that age, they're developing, so they're kind of they're working out their own boundaries. They're still trying to work out their own boundaries, let alone somebody else's, aren't they?
It's almost like trying to. This is the standard we're going to set, and this is the line we're going to draw in the sand. And if you cross it, we're going to ruin your life. Whether it's something that's trivial, and it is trivial, was giving another kid a hug when you were a child.
Well, let alone trivial, intentional. It's like, I'm sure, like accidentally brushing against people could be deemed sexual assault soon, couldn't it?
Don't you, when you get on like a bus, or you're in a space where it's let's say a supermarket and it's quite busy. I am very, very conscious if I'm near a woman that I will not get too close. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get bumped into somebody, or if I have to brush past someone, I'll wait rather than brush past. And I think that's a sad state of affairs when you've got to think, am I going to get accused of sexual assault if I get too near this woman, even though I'm just looking for the cereal aisle? And I think that's a real sad state of affairs when you've got to be so cautious about every single interaction that you do in society.
It's
even more annoying when let's say like your example in the supermarket, or I don't know, in a shopping centre or somewhere, and they're like in the middle of the aisle, and they're just taking all the space up, so you can't get past them.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's almost like goading you to try and get close to them so they can do something.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not encountered that directly, but I can see where you're coming from. If someone does.
Well, it's like people have become really inconsiderate now as well, haven't they? It's like they'll block up the whole aisle, stop dead in front of you and stuff like that, won't they?
What are your thoughts on people eating in supermarkets?
It's weird.
Because I was always told and always brought up, if you want something, say you want a cake, you go and pay for it, then you go and eat it once you get home or outside in the car, whatever else, for example. And I see people a lot now eating stuff in supermarkets and don't pay for it. They just they'll eat 3/4 of, I don't know, a packet of crisps and then leave it on the side or throw it in the freezer section or whatever else.
I think that's the law then, do they? If you
you eat it before you get out,
you
haven't stolen it. And the worst thing is, you see, the kids doing it, and then you see all the parents doing it. It's like a family affair. It's like dinner time in Asda or something. Free dinner tonight, kids.
As much as you can eat buffet.
I actually knew someone who used to go, and when you go into some places, free food, he would just constantly just stand there and eat every single thing that they're offering. And when they said, it's only for taste. No, I want to try all of these kind of things. I don't know. Say it was like a new sauce or a new whatever, alcohol especially. You know what I mean? Knock them back.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon it'll be the next level then? Someone will just fire up a Barbie in the middle and whack a steak on there.
Yeah, get the old chicken out, cut the packet open, stick it on there. Yeah. If I eat this product before I leave, you can't charge me for it.
Is that like the Freeman and the Land thing? Is it? Am I being detained?
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not just like you see them do it. It's not just like normal staff who don't say anything. I see managers walking past these people, and they don't even bat an eyelid. They literally just let them. I don't know. I could walk in and start, drinking a bottle of Coke and having a packet of crisps, walking around the local supermarket. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old or something.
Jesus, that stuff's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, every time I go out, I hate society even more. I'm just gonna become a hermit.
So some people just want to watch the world burn, Master Bruce.
I need my own back cave. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, what's this one? Oh, what's Grief talking about? Have any of you lads see that picture of Boris Johnson today in a London school?
No, I haven't seen it.
I can imagine what Grief's talking about. I'm sure by London he means it looks like downtown Mogadishu, isn't he? So what do you lads think about how Boris is doing so far then?
How Boris is doing? It's hard to gauge because I read somewhere that they're in some kind of leaflet or proposal. The Tories were talking about a Brexit delay. I don't know if that's got any weight behind it.
Yeah, I can see
that happening.
I can see it getting delayed as well. I don't think we'll be out of the EU by, what is it, 31st or something? I can't remember the exact date.
Yeah, 31st.
You can't see that happening.
No.
I'll tell you what, I'll find.
At least I'll be genuinely surprised if it does get carried out, if it does happen, but can't see it happening, at least right now.
If it happens, it'll be a very, very watered down version of what the people who voted were expecting.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the Tories done if this occurs then?
I'm no fan of the Tories, but I legitimately think they are miles better than any kind of Labour government that would take place. And if they do shoot themselves in the foot, which is what they do here, I think it's bad news because I think it could really open the door for a Labour government. I mean, people always are putting down Corbyn and saying he's not no chance, but if they generally fuck up Brexit, I think he could alienate our people who just will refuse to vote. They won't vote Corbyn, but they will just refuse to vote, and that could let him in the door with a real low turnout.
I'm trying to look for the current. I've got Westminster voting intention from October the 11th. So you got the Conservatives on 35%, Labour on 22%, Lib Dems on 20%, Brexit Party are on 12%, and the Greens are on 6%.
Could you imagine a coalition government with Libs and Labour?
Yeah, could you imagine?
My worst nightmare.
Do you reckon it'll be another Lib Dem Conservatives because the Lib Dems did so well out of that one, didn't they?
I know. When it came together, I was like, "This ain't gonna." There's no chance of this up.
Do you think when people actually get to the ballot box, they'll actually vote Lib Dem? Do you think that's a real thing, or do you think?
I think so. I think there are people out there who actually genuinely think the Liberal Democrats are the answer. I was actually part of a group, like a motorcycle group once, and the guy who ran it was a Lib Dem. Oh, he was insufferable. Honestly, it was. I didn't say anything because I just wanted to carry on. I just wanted to get away from the politics. Just wanted the motorcycle thing, you know.
Yeah.
But he used to go on and on and on, and he was. Oh yeah, he was. He thought they were like the answer to all this country's ills, and he was quite young, and say he was mid-20s, and it was deeply worrying that someone thought that Liberal Democrats were the answer to all the problems.
If the Lib Dems are the answer, it's a pretty stupid question, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But could you imagine a Corbyn? Could you imagine a Corbyn government? I generally think it's a frightening prospect, to be honest.
Can you imagine having to see old Shrek's face every day on the news? You know, old Swinson, she looks like Shrek, don't she?
Yeah.
I think she's actually insane. I really think she's insane with some of the stuff she comes out with.
I think there are a few politicians in quite high positions of power who actually fit the bill of insanity, and that's what's deeply worrying is when they get these people, if they get a chance in government, they're going to cause problems. They'll bring in all these diversity quotas, like ramp it up to like make the Conservatives look moderate. Yeah, I think you'll find some big changes, you know, with regard to like internet laws and all kinds of stuff like that.
Did you see?
They'll come down hard.
Did anybody catch Ma at the weekend? Apparently, Priti Patel's been accused of like weaponised smirking, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was smirking. Oh, yeah.
What was Ma saying? I mean, was he just the usual? We're going to run out of sperm and bug rolls thing.
What was she accused? I heard a little bit about it. What was she accused of smirking about again? I heard about it.
I think Ma was talking about. He's like, he was doing the old, Godzilla's going to attack if we leave the European Union and stuff like that. The usual absolute total insanity.
I mean, I'm not a fan at all, but if you can't sit there and have a bit of a laugh and a smirk now and again, I mean, literally can't.
I got no sense of humour. That's what it is.
You can't do anything, can you? You literally have to watch like a hawk every single motion, hand gesture, facial expression, without someone coming down like a ton of brick.
I don't think she was smirking anyway.
Again, all these SJWs looking for an excuse to get offended, and this thing with Priti Patel seems to be the latest thing they've found a way to get offended by. Really.
Yeah, I think that's just the way her face is. I don't think it was even a smirk. But even so, she has every right to smirk at some of the shit that Andrew Marr comes out with because he talks total bollocks.
I think if I was interviewed by Andrew Marr, I wouldn't be smirking. I'd be laughing in his face because he just talks shite.
That's what they need, don't they? Just like a great big belly laugh right at them, don't they? I think that's what they need.
could you imagine? The thing is, these people, when they're interviewed by people like Mark, the politicians, I'm not being rude, but most modern politicians aren't fiercely intelligent people. I think if they came across someone like Enoch Powell, I think Enoch Powell would just absolutely just rip them to shreds in an interview, and that's why they find taking on people in positions of government now so easy. These interviews, because they've got so much slack they can use.
Well, it's like Nigel Farage is like one of the few like bright politicians, isn't he? I
Yeah,
don't think
Farage
I'm
is
not saying he's like an
acceptable.
Enoch Powell or anything like on that kind of level, but he's just a man who has a strong grasp of the facts, and if you start trying to bullshit him,
again.
he knows what he's talking about. Oh, we're gone again. Yeah, that's it. Am I back?
Again.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's like Farage isn't like the greatest politician ever, but he does have a good grasp of the facts, and he doesn't let people talk shit to him, does he?
No, he's very he's when they don't like really debating, because when they come up with something, he'll retort back with a genuine answer, not just.
I mean, he knows 10 times as much about the EU as they do, doesn't he? That's why they don't like him.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the left see Farage as this kind of like monster or something like that. And to be honest, he comes from a banking background. He's pretty moderate, isn't he? He's not going to be the revolutionary guy, but he's achieved a lot, and you can't really knock the guy for getting the referendum, getting Brexit,
Yeah.
started up. And I think for all his faults, I don't think he's the worst guy we've ever had in
Certainly had worse.
absolute. He's achieved something. I mean, you can't knock him for.
It doesn't look like the Brexit Party are catching fire, though, does it?
I think they did well in the EU elections because they were like a newly formed party. I honestly believe that I think Farage thought that a general election was going to be called pretty soon, because that was generally the consensus, wasn't it? The general election was coming, and all of a sudden it hasn't. And I think the party has sort of lost a lot of momentum. I think.
They've also the by-elections they've been involved in. They've come third in pretty much most of them, haven't they?
Yeah, they haven't. They've been, again. It goes back to what I say. No matter what takes place with any grooming gang scandal or any behaviour, people will still vote for the same system over and over again.
Well, people have got. But I think people's attitude is, oh well, Boris is going to sort it out. We can go back to voting Tory, isn't it? I think that's.
But what's going to happen? Like I said, you mentioned if Boris doesn't deliver on what he said, I think it could open the door for I think that's what Labour are hoping for.
Yeah.
I think if that happens, you could find yourself in a situation where the election could be a lot closer than it would be on what we think it would be.
Yeah, so because once people get in that booth, things change, don't they? I think people say a lot of things to pollsters, don't they? But they don't necessarily follow through with them, do they?
Exactly. I mean, I've never been interviewed by them. I can imagine people go, "Who would you vote for?" Yeah, I vote for him. But they've got no intention. When they get to the poll, they go and vote for the opposite party. Honestly,
that's what happened with Brexit. People knew the anti-Brexit feeling, so they just lied to the pollsters, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they thought they were going to get like a 70-30 outcome, didn't they?
Yeah.
And like I said, still some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen was the morning after.
Oh,
the BBC were in absolute mourning, weren't they?
Yeah, I still think that's some of the funniest television I've ever watched. Unintentionally funny, but funny nonetheless.
But even Farage thought they were going to get their ass kicked at Brexit.
I think he looked at the polls.
Yeah.
I think he looked at the polls, and I think well, we've done our best. And then when he woke up, in the morning, thinking, a minute, we've won here. I genuinely think he was. Yeah, I think he was gobsmacked. I think it's brilliant that he actually did, achieve what he set out. Well, to a point, obviously now.
Yeah, I think finishing it off is going to be the trouble, isn't it?
Like I said, yeah. If Boris doesn't deliver, I think you could see some surges definitely from the Lib Dems and the Labour Party.
Because I wonder whether people are just going to go, oh, it's too difficult, and then kind of roll with staying in the EU.
I think that's what they're trying to achieve. Just stall it as long as possible.
Because I've spoken to people that have said, oh, it's too difficult. I've heard people say that. Yeah,
but the people, Joe Public, the average person in the street, doesn't really look at politics. They're not really interested. They see this. Oh, it must be really difficult to sort out because it's taken so long. I mean, this should have been sorted out in 3 months. We should have gone bang, 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 sorted a few things out. Any kind of trade deals, that remaining, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And just sort it out. And it should really, realistically, have been sorted quick.
Well, our
I
conversation.
mean,
our
we had a
conversation-
referendum even before Trump became president, didn't
Yeah,
we?
I know.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's been that long.
I think it'll be, if it ever happens in some shape, manner, or form, it will be over 4 years until it actually gets done. I cannot see it at the end of October. I hope I'm wrong, but I think
Our
it's
conversation with the EU should be: do you want a deal? No. Okay, then that's fine.
Well, they want our money system, don't they? They want the City of London, don't they?
Yeah.
Because the City of London has so much money that goes through it for various reasons, and that's what they want it for. They actually need us probably more than we need them, despite what they'll tell you.
Oh, absolutely. They've been bluffing us. They've been bluffing idiots the whole time, haven't they? They've taken in like fools like Femi, haven't they?
Oh. Do you call him Lammy on Twitter?
Yeah.
Someone.
I call him Lammy, and I call Femi Lammy. I call him
Yeah,
the other way around.
Yeah.
I haven't
thought
had
it
a
was you.
reaction to it, but I'm expecting one day I will.
Do you know who? Just briefly, the one guy that even certain people, where you'd call like on the remaining side, were quite embarrassed by that idiot. What's he called? Majid. Is that my pronouncing that right?
It's Majid, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, he turned up in the European Parliament with a baseball cap.
Fuck fascism, wasn't it? His T-shirt or something.
Yeah, the first time, yeah, and they wouldn't let him in. Well, unsurprisingly, they.
I thought it was the cleaner or something, didn't they?
Yeah, and then he was in there the other day speaking, and he started basically launching a tirade against Boris, and he was wearing a baseball cap and like some baggy jeans, and it was just where you feel like saying to the guy, "Come on, if you're going to turn up, where is your sense of class? Where's your sense of like?"
At least Lammy does the bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he turns up in a suit. You know what I mean? This guy
Yeah.
turns up looking like he's just been out on the rounds. Yeah, I saw it. I actually did listen to the speech.
Did you see that video the other day of that Brexit Steve bloke, the one that wears the top hat and got the flag round him and
Oh,
stuff?
the one that's always drunk.
Yeah, did you see that one of him absolutely pissed out of his brain the other week?
I haven't seen that one.
He's always 3 sheets to the wind, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's always like,
I thought they were messing around when they said he's always drunk. Then I saw that video and he was absolutely pissed out of his brain, weren't he?
him and that dancing Liberal Democrat.
Oh, he's a plank, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw a video of them two together.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they're embarrassing. And if people believe that's what the answer is, and that's they're the people we should be. If they believe in that, I think I'd run a mile from that. Any kind of group that encourages that. Surely you'd see free people. Obviously not.
Right, I think that's us done. Are you? Do you want to plug yourself, Flash? Your YouTube,
Yeah, plug
your
your channel,
YouTube
mate.
and your Twitter.
Oh yeah. You want to give me a follow or a subscription on if you want to give me a follow on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter. My name is Lord Flashheart, or at the Flashheart69. And if you want to find me on YouTube, you can find me as just Lord Flashheart. I'm pretty easy to find, so if you want to subscribe to me on there,
Yeah,
feel free to do so. Sorry, say that again, Mosley.
I said you've got some good content, mate. People want to subscribe to you. You definitely.
Yeah, plenty of good
point.
videos. I usually talk about things in the news, pop culture, all of that kind of stuff. So if that's your thing, feel free to go subscribe.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Mosley, where can everybody find you?
Generally on Twitter. I think I'm the Angry Saxon too, but I can't remember. It was such a
Yeah,
long
the
time
Angry
ago.
Saxon too. Yeah.
I just know my name was 8-Bit Mosley. Obviously, that's not my handle.
And you can obviously find you here on Tuesday nights from 7 till 9. And as for me, I'm doing this show, and then I'm doing 14 Words on a Thursday. I'm not sure what we're doing this week. And then obviously Dope Movies and Shows, both of which you can find on Anchor Podcast if you want to listen to the audio version. If you want to pick up some more listens as well, Flash, you might as well. It's a good idea to put out an audio podcast as well.
Yeah, I'll consider it. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, I've only started my channel and everything like that very recently, so I'll consider it though.
Right, so, and that's us done for another week. We'll see you next week.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.